It always begins quietly. The camera pans across a roaring 1920s city, jazz music, champagne glasses, new cars, and a skyline reaching for heaven. The world is drunk on optimism. Factories hum, newspapers scream about record stock prices, and everyone, from rich bankers to shoe shiners, is investing. It was a golden age, the narrator whispers, until it wasn't. The year is 1929, and America believes it's untouchable. The word crash belongs to cars, not markets. But behind the music and money, something dark is forming. A shadow no one sees coming. Fast forward 97 years, 2026. The same illusion of endless growth fills our screens again. Digital tickers instead of ticker tape, crypto booms, AI stocks, real estate bubbles, and influencers preaching financial freedom. It feels new, but it's the same story rewritten with new faces. Wall Street, 1929. A young trader laughs as his portfolio doubles overnight. Wall Street, 2026. A Gen Z investor tweets, just made 10K in a week, stocks only go up. Different century, same mistake. But we never learn from history, says the voiceover, because we keep rewriting it. In 1929, the markets were rising at a pace that defied logic. Banks offered easy loans and ordinary people borrowed just to buy more stocks. In 2026, credit cards, margin accounts, and crypto leverage apps make it even easier. Everyone's chasing quick money. Again, the economy looks unstoppable until small cracks begin to show. Inflation whispers, interest rates creep up, debt piles higher than ever, and then, like a heartbeat before cardiac arrest, the signs appear, but no one listens. In 1929, they called it the Roaring Twenties. In 2026, they call it the Age of Artificial Wealth. Back then, brokers screamed across trading floors. Now, algorithms scream in silence, millions of trades per second flashing on glowing monitors. But the feeling is the same, greed. In skyscrapers across New York, Dubai, and Shanghai, executives toast to record profits. Companies announce trillion-dollar valuations built on nothing but hype. And the public? They believe the dream again, because no one wants to miss out. And when everyone believes they can't lose, says the narrator, that's when they've already lost. The rich keep buying assets. The poor keep borrowing. The system looks solid, but it's hollow inside. In 1929, people believed radio stocks would rule the world. In 2026, it's AI, biotech, and the metaverse. Different words, same blind faith. Scene transitions to a modern boardroom. A CEO laughs as he tells investors their AI company will revolutionize the world. Outside, hundreds of employees line up for layoffs. The gap between illusion and reality widens, just like it did before the crash. It's September 1929. Stock prices hit their all-time high. People are taking loans just to buy more shares. Everyone feels rich, until one morning a small headline appears. Market shows signs of weakness. It goes ignored. The narrator's tone drops to a whisper. Crashes don't begin with explosions. They begin with silence. Now jump to 2026. Inflation spikes. The dollar weakens. Central banks panic. A few financial analysts warn of trouble ahead, but the media calls them doomers. Cut to a YouTube host in 2026. The market will correct, but it's not a crash. This is just a dip. The same words were said in 1929, 2 weeks before history's greatest collapse. Then it begins. A major tech stock plunges 30% overnight. Retail investors panic. They sell. The algorithm kicks in, triggering millions of automated sell orders. The crash starts digitally, faster, colder, and crueler than 1929. In the blink of an eye, trillions vanish. The world changed in hours, the narrator says, and yet it had all happened before. It's a Thursday morning, October 24th, 1929. The sun rises over New York City, indifferent to the storm about to unfold. Traders arrive early, the air thick with anticipation. By 10 a.m., the market opens, and everything unravels. Within minutes, billions of dollars evaporated, gone like smoke. Phones ring nonstop. Men in suits shout across the trading floor, waving papers like desperate flags. Some faint, some curse, some stand frozen, unable to move. By noon, entire fortunes are gone. And outside, a crowd gathers, silent, confused, watching the glass towers where their dreams just died. Now, cut to 2026. There's no trading floor, no shouting, just silence and screens. At 9:31 a.m., the Nasdaq halts trading after a 12% crash in seconds. AI algorithms have sold billions in microseconds, faster than any human can react. Crypto markets collapse simultaneously. Stock apps freeze. People stare at error messages that say, try again later. In 1929, panic spread through newspapers. In 2026, it spread through Wi-Fi. Twitter floods with fear. Hashtags like "on our market crash 2026" and "financial meltdown trend" worldwide. Investors live stream their despair. And within hours, history has repeated itself. The crash doesn't stop at the market. In 1929, the fall spread to banks, factories, and homes. In 2026, it spreads even faster, through digital networks and global debt. When stocks fall, confidence collapses. When confidence collapses, the entire system follows. Banks that once offered instant crypto loans begin freezing withdrawals. Real estate funds shut down redemptions. Millions can't access their savings. A young couple in London can't pay their mortgage. A small business in Karachi closes its doors. A retiree in Texas watches her life savings vanish overnight. Crashes aren't about numbers, the narrator whispers. They're about people. In 1929, men stood in bread lines ashamed to meet each other's eyes. In 2026, people scroll through their phones watching their digital portfolios die. Alone. Across the world, governments panic. Emergency meetings, press conferences, denials. The fundamentals remain strong, one finance minister says. The same words were spoken in October 1929, 2 days before Black Tuesday. And just like that, the dominoes fall. The first major bank defaults. A massive hedge fund declares insolvency. And within a week, the entire financial system is gasping for air. It's now November 2026. Markets around the world are bleeding red. Tokyo, London, Frankfurt, Dubai. One by one, they collapse under the same weight. Debt and denial. Factories slow down. Shipping halts. AI-driven companies shut down their automated systems that no longer have funding to run. For the first time in years, silence returns to the global economy. In 1929, they called it the Great Depression. In 2026, they'll call it the Great Correction. News anchors speak in hushed tones. Unemployment numbers explode. Protests break out in cities as people demand answers. How could this happen again? Didn't anyone see the signs? And yet, the truth is cruelly simple. Everyone saw the signs. They just ignored them. Because optimism is louder than caution. Because greed feels better than fear. Because human nature never changes. Cut to an emotional montage. An old man burns his last investment papers. A trader stares blankly at a dead computer screen. A mother hugs her child tightly, whispering, "It's going to be okay." A mosque, a church, a temple, all filled with people praying for mercy. When money fails, says the narrator softly, faith begins. Months later, the dust begins to settle. The world is quieter now, poorer, wiser, maybe humbler. In 1930, after the Great Crash, people rebuilt, slowly, painfully. In 2027, the same story begins. But this time, something is different. Governments introduce digital dollar systems, promising stability but offering control. Corporations merge into fewer, bigger powers. Ordinary people trade freedom for security. And in the ashes of collapse, a new order rises. Every crash resets the world, the narrator says, but not always for the better. Experts on TV argue over what went wrong, inflation, greed, politics, but deep down, everyone knows the truth. The warning signs weren't missed, they were ignored. As the camera pans across silent trading floors, empty skyscrapers, and a skyline dimmed by uncertainty, the final line hits. History didn't repeat itself by accident. We invited it. The crash is over. The storm is past. But the world it left behind is not the same. It's now mid-2027. The dust has settled, but so has the fear. Entire industries vanished overnight. Luxury brands are silent. Office towers, once filled with noise and ambition, are now empty, echoing with memories of deals that no longer matter. In every collapse, the narrator says, power doesn't disappear, it shifts, and it has. The world's wealth, once scattered across millions of investors, now sits in the hands of a few surviving giants, the megabanks, the tech empires, the governments that moved fastest when the panic began. They call the new system the Global Reset Initiative. It sounds hopeful, modern, but underneath it feels eerily familiar. People are told that paper money is outdated. Now everything will be digital, traceable, safer. Each citizen will receive a central digital token tied directly to their identity. No banks, no privacy, no escape. They said it was for our security, the narrator whispers, but it felt more like surrender. In 1933, the U.S. confiscated gold. In 2027, they confiscate control. A digital economy rises from the ruins, efficient, global, monitored. And the world begins to rebuild, but not in freedom, independence. The scene opens on a classroom in 2030. A teacher stands before a group of young students who never lived through the chaos. She points to a projection of two images. One, Wall Street 1929, men in hats, heads bowed. The other, Times Square 2026, giant LED screens flashing red. Different centuries, she says softly. Same story. The children listen, wide-eyed. They don't remember the panic, the hunger, or the silence, but the world they live in still carries its scars. In museums, they display old stock certificates and crypto wallets as artifacts of a lost age. History channels replay the footage of the 2026 crash, reminding viewers how fragile progress really is. The tragedy of humanity, says the narrator, is not that we fall. It's that we fall the same way every time. The script flashes to scenes from both eras: farmers losing land in 1931, families losing homes in 2026, breadlines in the Great Depression, food banks in the New Age. The names change, the dates change, the emotions, they don't. Then the tone shifts. Hopeful but cautious. A young man opens a small business using local trade tokens instead of digital currency. A woman starts a community farm to feed her neighborhood. People begin helping each other again, not for profit, but survival. When systems break, the narrator says, humanity remembers what systems forgot: compassion. It's 2032, 10 years after the storm. The world is quieter, calmer, not richer, but wiser. Cities have rebuilt, not with skyscrapers, but with solar grids and green rooftops. People travel less, grow more, and consume slower. The word enough finally has meaning again. The narrator walks us through a sunrise scene. Children laughing in the streets, no longer obsessed with phones or markets. Old men sitting outside telling stories of when the world almost ended. The music swells softly. And we thought the crash destroyed us, the narrator says. But maybe it saved us. Because in losing everything, humanity learned what truly mattered. Not numbers on screens, but connection, resilience, and belief. Still, history lingers. In the back of every mind, a quiet fear whispers, could it happen again? The camera pans upward, as from the streets to the sky to a gleaming new stock exchange building rising on the horizon. Inside, young traders stare at digital screens filled with green numbers climbing higher and higher. And just like that, the cycle begins again. History doesn't repeat itself, people do. From 1929 to 2026, the story was never about markets. It was about human nature. Greed, pride, denial, and the belief that this time will be different. It never is. But in every collapse, there's also a rebirth, a reminder that progress isn't measured by wealth, but by wisdom. We can't stop the storms, the narrator ends, but we can remember the thunder. And as the screen fades to black, one final line appears. 1929 is repeating in 2026, and no one's ready. Until now.